1. Welcome, dear all, to twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. This is Stammer stream, manga podcast, and speech therapy combined. I'm your stammering host, Wensleydale Cheddar, here alongside your non-stammering hosts, Greil9 and Dr. Nova. We are here with a review of the March the 5th edition of Shonen Jump, starting of course with One Piece, chapter 896. So guys, what do you think?
This was a pretty satisfying end to the fight, and had some pretty good character moments too.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those that finally starts to break me out of my funk of, yeah, it's another chapter of this. Yeah, what's on other channels?
Yeah,
I really like this. I'm somebody who's been like pretty high on this entire series of events. So, not only do I think that this is a very satisfying resolution, but there's just something about the final. It's not the final panel of the chapter, but the panel where you see Katakuri falling over. Sorry, and just see the size of him compared to Luffy.
Luffy doesn't even barely comes up to his knees. Like, was he always that big?
Yeah, this is something One Piece does so well, where after the fight is finished, it always like just takes a moment to really show you how far the battle it was and really give you another perspective on, oh yeah, that was insane what just happened. And I know that I know that the arc isn't over, and I know that there's still more to come. But oddly enough, I'm actually really looking forward to what comes next, because Oda, as a storyteller, is very aware that after going on such like a high note, he has to keep that going now. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen once Luffy meets up with all of the Big Mom pirates waiting for him just outside.
I love the resolution to Katakuri's fight. The moment he stands on his 2 feet again to tower over Luffy and ultimately fall again it's kind of important. I don't know if that's the logical final step in his evolution, but I'm glad he managed to kind of regain his lost pride in a way. Not in the eyes of others, but his own, and Luffy's. Who by the way, helps him by covering his face with his fedora, so yeah, that's nice.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a great little touch of respect to an opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a case where like you really look back on like this entire fight and you realize that like, oh yeah, Luffy never had a reason to like outright hate Katakuri. And this was something that was really pushed forward by the fact their powers were similar or anything, but it was really more of a rivalry than it was of like a battle with someone like Lucci or Crocodile, where like Luffy's like, oh no, I hate you. So
I mean, it took a while to get to that anyway, since at first Katakuri just thought Luffy was beneath him.
Yeah.
It did, and that's sort of what I like about it. It really ends on this fantastic tone of mutual respect.
Yeah.
Also, we should probably talk about the new character of the series, the mystery savior, Mr. Arms.
I did like the little faux moment of comic relief from him. I think Gangster Gastino and Sniper King should become good friends.
Mm-hmm. Along with Bon Clay.
We haven't seen Gastino for a while.
Yeah,
yeah. It's true. I hope Gastino comes back into the series. Maybe he beats the crap out of Caesar Clown or something. I don't know. Just give him a good moment.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't he like Beijing's brother?
Yeah.
I don't. I think they like played hopscotch together or something. I don't know. I forget his backstory.
In a way, the real Gastino is the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, but once again, we show that this guy's doesn't even fool Luffy.
Yeah, which by the way, I found it interesting that Luffy managed to recognize Peckham's, but didn't recognize Sniper King when he first showed up. I've seen people
Maybe he's got a little smarter after a time skip, since he could do this and Gastino.
Yeah, I've seen people say that it's because of his observation haki now, but I suspected that it's maybe because he didn't want to have a confrontation with Usopp back then. Maybe.
To be fair, when Caesar Clown said, no, I'm actually Gastino, Luffy apologized and said, my bad, so...
I forgot that.
Yeah, he's not that smart yet, but at least he started off going, "You're Caesar, aren't you?"
Oh god. So,
Anyway,
about the
I did
moment
like
that
this
happens
chapter, and
later.
it's one I might actually remember rather than the 4 or 5 that I just. Which one came first? What happened in that one? I can't remember anything.
I'm sorry? Which one?
Just last 5 or 4 that just have been like mixed among one another.
Huh. I can't remember. So, shall we talk about the moment that happens somewhere else, near the big mirror? So, there is no doubt Pudding has given Sanji a kiss and will later count out his memory of it, right? Just to be clear.
Probably. I think that's probably what's going down.
Yeah,
I could later
I
see
first
someone in...
thought like that she was gonna ask him to stop smoking, but he's still smoking in the final 2 spread of panels in the chapter, so
Yeah. I could later see someone from the Straw Hats learning about it, but deciding to honor her wishes, as with that memory he would never leave the island. Because Sanji's always thirsty. As opposed to hungry.
yeah, well, it remains to be seen what exactly it was, but it's still a nice moment.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I did check. Gastino was Beje's brother.
Okay. Well, nice to know that. We'll be looking out for him in the future. We'll be documenting at the end of every One Piece review. Still no mention of Gastino. Still waiting for that. Which, by the way, about that pudding moment, I have to say, do you remember me complaining about Pudding's memo fruit having no story purpose? So I think this may be the payoff I demanded earlier, and if that is what it is, then I feel satisfied.
Good.
Yeah.
If we don't have anything else to say, that I'm just going to mention that it's a little late to notice this, but I do like Mondor's whole design, characterization, and that moment he has with Morgan's. I'd be glad if he happened to become the next sweet commander in the future.
I like him quite a bit. I wish... I'm not personally huge on his design. But he has become one of the more pragmatic members of the Big Mom Pirates, and I think he has a kind of cool power. So I am a fan of his. I don't know why. I've just never been that big on his design, though.
I like it quite a lot. He seems like a bit of a scarecrow, and like one of those interesting Oda Gonk designs. I kind of like. So yeah. Yeah. So, shall we move on to Food Wars?
Sure.
Okay.
I guess we could.
So
It's not that bad this week.
So that's chapter 253. And yes, you should have done it from the start. An actual Team Shokugeki. You should have done it before in the first place to make it more interesting. One person doing the appetizer, one of the main course, and the last one, when we had 3-on-3, the dessert. Several dishes supporting one another. It would make these things...
Yeah, but then again, then it would have always forced that everyone from one side loses, so it's too easy to guess which side's gonna lose, because, well, in that kind of the place you can just say, okay, this side has Soma, so it's not gonna lose. Next team up, he's not here, so they're probably gonna lose here. Whereas here you can just have individual members win and lose early on.
Yeah, but it would be more team-based. Still.
Yeah.
So, though, I would have laughed if Azami just said, after Sensei Mon proposed that, as more of a Team Shokugeki, well, if Azami just said, well, that's all well and good, but I'm the headmaster now, so we're not doing that, since it's clearly part of your scheme. Why would I agree to that?
Yeah, but it's also weird that I thought this was like part of the agreement why Azami was allowed to be on the judges panel.
Oh, yeah,
Which
that makes
doesn't
sense.
feel
But
like a
yeah,
fair trade.
yeah, I thought it was some plan there, but now it's clear that Azami had no idea about this.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a little odd. I mean, you always kind of have to take Food Wars as like
With the dash of
sudden
salt.
like. Well, I think you always. Yeah, exactly. I think you have to take all of what happens with sort of the context that this universe relies so heavily on dramatic tension that sometimes it makes zero sense as to why any of this is happening. um, that like normal logic doesn't really work. Like, what would be dramatically interesting here? Um, but I don't know. It still seems a little odd in the sense that, like, okay, so you guys had a meeting, like, where Azami essentially just gets to, like, essentially rig every single match, and the only thing that you're presumably getting out of this never came up.
Yeah, I still wonder, like, why the hell did Senseimon agree to this? He could just, like, do this match like, alright, I've got one dish, and okay, I'm voting, you guys win. Piss off, rebels. No, I'm not gonna taste it. Why the hell would I?
I'm just so sorry. This Rindo and Tsukasa went first, and I'm just so full. I mean, I'm gonna go like get ice cream after this to celebrate, but other than that, I'm just so like, what can I do?
And it's still interesting how they're gonna pull a win, since it seems like Rindo and Tsukasa are still somewhat like working in tandem, whereas Erina and Soma, they
Hate
haven't
each
even
other.
decided who's gonna cook what. Like, who's doing appetizer, who's doing main dish. Like, how the hell are these two gonna make a 2-course meal that's like complements one another's dish?
You yeah, it's very much a case of like you couldn't have just like you couldn't have decided this like 5 hours ago. You could. Why wasn't the rock paper scissors the first thing you did?
I imagine that
I'm guessing neither
they've
one
done they've done
like
it like
they
5 billion
they
times.
didn't want to rely on luck to get it, but in the end they just no longer had any time. Like, they probably argued the whole way there.
Oh, I
Hmm.
imagine that it was the first thing they did, but they tied just 5 billion times and they couldn't decide.
Yeah, like,
Hmm.
they've been doing rock paper scissors all night. They just always got a tie up until now. Like, all right, game 568, that tie. 3
Or
hours
they
later.
just did a
Megumi's
bunch
like,
of different contests and like sucked at all of them. It's like, all right, we've done rock paper scissors, we've done this. All right, now it's like, okay, who can find the most treasure in Breath of the Wild? Go.
Megumi's like,
Shit.
oh wait, you guys pulled an all nighter and you didn't actually train at all?
Nah, man. Look, we saw the new trailer for Smash Brothers, and we were like, well, we got to marathon we got to play the old one a bunch now, because when it comes out, we're not going to do that anymore. We know how Smash Brothers go.
Guys, Geralt from
Come on,
The
let-
Witcher is now in the Nintendo Tennis Aces. How could
Come
we
on,
sleep?
let's play Shulk once he's around, because you know he's not going to be in the next game.
Oh god.
Yeah, they're probably put in Rex.
Fuck Rex.
So
I'm sorry, I just picked up Xenoblade Chronicles 2 again because of New Game Plus, and I'm getting angry at the game all over again.
Either way, I do think it's interesting that it's Soma doing the appetizers and Erina on the main dish. Essentially, her going up against Tsukasa.
I was very happy about that, actually. I think that's a much more interesting way that this could have played out.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, just surprised about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an element. It's a very welcome element of surprise in Food Wars, because thus far many of the matches seemed predictable. So I'm wondering how it's going to go next. So about that Erina moment. So isn't this like the 5th time we've seen Erina stand up to Azami? I mean, I like the first two, but but now it's getting a little repetitive. And what does running away from home have to do with achieving true goal May? I don't really get this moment.
This chapter has several moments that just seem like I'm not good. You know what I am going to say? They seem a little unthought out because there's actually a moment in this chapter I have a really big problem with, and it's the page where we see a bunch of the resistance members like just sort of sitting down and hanging out before the match, and just sort of like I get that's meant to build dramatic tension. I feel like this should have been a whole chapter. Like this feels really rushed to me. The fact that we get one panel. And one panel, by the way, that doesn't include several major characters. Like, for some reason, we get two. It's essentially the same shot of three of the girls just sleeping, and yet Kurokiba and Hayama don't show up at all. Like, it just seems... sort of seems like, and maybe this is a bad accusation, it seems like it's going through the motions a little bit. Just saying, like, well, it's the final match, so we have to have a solemn moment, but it doesn't really carry that much dramatic weight.
I know what you mean, Nova. You just want Kurokiba to be in that panel with Alice sleeping.
That would have been very nice. That would
You'll get
Hey,
that. You'll get that somewhere in the doujinshi.
you know, I probably wouldn't have had an issue with it.
Speaking of, is Azami sleeping with the other two judges?
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, holy shit, they're both on his bed.
Probably, as if these judges weren't compromised enough.
Unless it's just like the rebels planning them, and Azami's just so bad in bed that both of them think like, "Oh fucking hell, we're not gonna do anything for you after that night."
You see, because what I was gonna say was like, just looking at the bed, I think they'd all come really exhausted because they're like, "Holy shit, we did not plan this through. That was a really tiny bed. We had the worst sleep ever. I mean, my god."
Assuming that's the only bed in the room, we don't really get a good overview.
Even if it's not the only bed in the room, the fact that like that would be funny. They all have like 3 separate beds next to each other. It's like, I mean, I feel like you're compromised, but this is more like kind of funny than anything else.
But yeah, still like that. I don't remember their names, but that one laying on the bed, she's really just seducing him with that pose. Like, that cannot be a comfortable sleeping pose with your arms like that. They'd fall asleep when you hold them up above your body like that.
I would have loved this so much more if, like, at the end of the chapter it was revealed they just had, like, a pillow fight or something. Like, that was it. And they're like, or they built a fort.
And Azami put on a little crown, like, when he had that hard hat while destroying the door.
I'm the king of the sofa castle.
It's essentially
Azami, aren't we going to make love? Sofa castle!
And he just, like, descends just enough that his eyes peek out, like, fort kick-ass.
It's essentially like that scene from the room when Tommy and Johnny and Lisa just keep pillow fighting and just can't get to it eventually.
And instead of Denny coming in to break it up, it's Tsukasa like, "Oh, Azami, what are we gonna cook?" Please leave right now.
Okay, let's leave. Let's just move on.
Yes, let's move on. Speaking of creepy children, let's move on to My Hero Academia, chapter 173, because this needs
chapter title: Mineta needs to be put on some government watch list.
This needs to fucking stop. I can no longer tolerate this character. By all accounts, this guy shouldn't be a hero. Thus far, I've been just pretty meh on him, but that pedophilic comment was the last straw. Look me up in 10 years. Disgusting.
Oh god, I fucking missed that. That's gross as shit. I missed that panel. Holy shit, that's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, this guy needs to get fired from this school and be put on some government watch list as sex offender.
And
I don't care if he's not done anything yet. He still needs to be there.
He has done stuff yet.
Yeah. I think he sexually harassed at least 3 of the girls in the class.
He's tried to sneak into both women's baths and women's change rooms at least twice.
I mean, he didn't try to sneak into the change room. He just peeked through a hole, and yeah, that's
There's
not
a-
making
there's
it
a
better.
small
Just correcting the
distinction.
facts.
And that's not even everything, but because this chapter was creepy in 3 different ways. Because so right before the end, we learn that there is a beauty contest for high schoolers, and which. Well, okay, not gonna talk about that, but then
I
we
would
have
talk
Miro's
about a little,
weird.
like-
The peaches are ripe for the picking moment. What is going on, Horikoshi?
Mirio is kind of a weirdo, but I don't think that's like all that bad of a thing.
Well,
Yeah, for the most part, I found this chapter pretty adorable. Just like these just the two guys just trying to show her around the school and just like really hammering in how weird the school is. I really hope we get to see the play that Class B is putting on because it sounds incredible.
I do like the Class B guy introducing the play Romeo, Juliet, and the Prisoner of Azkaban: The Return of the Three Kings of the Kings.
Yeah,
I
that's
really hope we
completely
get to
original, totally spectacular fan performance. Like, yeah, it's probably like all of them OCs do not steal.
Yeah, it's not only that. We also have these original characters. It's this silver-haired and this pigtailed girl. It's like, hey, you stole that from Noah's notes.
Oh god.
Yeah, but I do want to see at least part of it. And we also see Mirio seeing some third years like they do the joke like, "Hey, what did you have a kid sometime?" But yeah, they're all just like joking aside, so they're just clearly busting each other's balls.
Yeah.
We also have the return of Hatsume.
Yeah, she
And
does pretty much it.
what a wet fart of a return it is. I feel so bad for this girl because every single like Mirio and Sun Eater have gotten so many amazing things to do, and then she shows up against like, I guess I'm in a beauty contest.
No.
Wait,
That's not Hatsume.
what are you talking about?
That's Nejire.
Not Nene. So yeah, Hatsume's good. I'm talking
Yeah, I
about
was
Nene.
just wondering, like, wait, did Hatsume enter the beauty contest while she hadn't washed?
Admittedly, this would be kind of interesting.
Also, like, how did that pre-beauty contest champion win anything with those eyelashes? That's creepy as hell. She could probably poke someone's eye out with those, or just
She
flash
scared
her
the shit out
arm
of me.
off by just blinking.
Yeah, she would probably she could probably use the Ivankov death wink.
I wasn't surprised if that is Ivankov. It's like, hey, I've crossed into another series. Oddly enough, I'm more appropriate here.
All right. So what else? Okay. So yeah, and at the end we we have a funny moment with Ashido, who's just now donning shades and says, "Deku, we need to talk. You're fired." Although we're to understand that the Deku's supposed to be terrible at dancing, I can't exactly imagine Ida being good at it either.
Well, maybe they make him do the robot. He'd be really good at that.
Oh yeah, he'd be great.
I can't imagine the majority of these characters being very good dancers, to be honest.
Yeah,
So I'm curious just how bad Deku is that they're like, nah, you've crossed the line here, buddy.
Yeah. So, all
yeah,
right.
also one little humorous note, like, they point out that Kendo's not there to beat up on that one B1 student that always shits on the A class. I just like to imagine that they have, like, shifts on whose turn is to beat up this guy whenever he does something inappropriate.
It's like,
It'd be
okay.
probably more effective if just had, like, okay, he's gonna be beaten every hour, even if he doesn't done anything. Let's just set up shifts like, okay, this hour I'm gonna beat him up. You're gonna be
Like-
next hour, and so on.
Like, okay, so he's gonna every time he walks to lunch, he's gonna pass by the Class A place and tell them to go fuck themselves. So we need at least 3 people walking by him at that time.
Yeah,
Um,
it's essentially like they did with Brock in Pokemon. First it was Misty pinching his ear, then it was Max, then I think it was just
Wasn't May
Krogunk.
who did that?
May?
Oh, I would love it if a Krogunk showed up to beat the shit out of this guy every time, like there's a Krogunk hero.
I think it would be better if they just like took some like metagraphs to beat up Mineta. Just
Maybe, I
just
just love-
beat it to death so we don't have to deal with this pedophilic shit.
I just love the idea that there's a hero who's like, "What's your power?" I turn into moderately popular Pokemon.
and it's Tsuyu's little brother.
Exactly. Showed like, hey, something like that. Like, hey, so you can can you turn into starters? I mean, I can turn into Chespin, but like nothing else. You know, like I can.
Well, I mean, considering Tsuyu's little brother's design, he'd probably turn to at least Froakie.
True. True enough.
Yeah. So, shall we move on to Black
Also,
Clover?
we see, was it
Oh.
what was the mind control kid's name?
Oh, Shinso.
Shishio?
Shinso.
Yeah.
Shinso is in there, and he's apparently just like breaking some wooden stick in half with his bare hand. Who's got him buff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering when he's gonna show up again, because I feel like we have gotten like background build up to him, and as we can see, he's still in the general. But I'm wondering where he's gonna pop up.
I think he was just supposed to be this one-off character, but then he got really popular for some reason, and now Horikoshi just keeps including him in random shots.
I'm hoping
not sure
he
how
does
one-off
get to
he
do
was-
something.
Yeah, I'm not sure how one-off he was meant to be, because we did have that moment where he was like walking off with his Aizawa at some point, which did seem to be building up something. I'm just not entirely sure what yet.
Maybe.
Still, this was a pretty good chapter. My Hero Academia is always good when it does those slice of life chapters.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
and we forgot to mention that during this festival, if one thing or was it last week? But we didn't cover that. I don't know. Essentially, one thing goes wrong, and the entire festival is cancelled because that's how high the level of security is right now, which makes sense.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and since we know that Gentle is coming, something's gonna get fucked up.
Yeah. So, speaking of no security, shall we move on to the to Black Clover?
Yeah, let's go. I mean,
I have something prepped for the end of this chapter.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I do wait for it if you're gonna shit on Black Clover.
okay. Shall we end for your thing right at the end? Okay.
Do it whenever. It's just whenever really.
Okay.
It's to do with the ending of this chapter.
All
somewhat.
right.
Yeah, because it does at least start pretty good with Yami saying his goodbyes to the Wizard King and showing their personal connection.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like this actually was a bit touching for Yami.
And I do like that
Mhm.
Black Clover is covering its plot holes a little bit. With his dying words, Julius points out that even without using the power of the magic stones, Licht, yes, he was able to use the genocide spell. So his true goal couldn't possibly have been destroying the Clover Kingdom, but something else entirely. So yeah, props to Tabata for thinking about that. Although, and I must stress that we have no way of knowing about this, but it would be funny if it just were his editor who, after seeing Licht cast Arrows of Judgment, said, dude, so why didn't he do that before if he was able to cast this spell in the first place? Didn't he want to have
If this
revenge
was always an option, why not?
Yeah. And Tabata was like, oh shit! I didn't think this through!
Because he blasts off into the background. It's like, come back. You need to draw manga.
Oh.
Okay. This is why I can't tell him anything. Every time I tell him a plot hole, he blasts off again.
Oh. Um, Still, I'm really sad that we are getting rid of Sally, since she was one of the only ones with dark hair, so I could actually tell her apart from different people.
Yeah, because they're apparently doing some resurrection thing with the magic stones, and now I'm not sure if is this William Vagan speaking, since he says he expresses his true feelings because otherwise it was leaked talking, or is he like saying like I was talking like as the leader and I'm just talking to you as a person, or what's he actually meaning with those words?
I'm not entirely sure, honestly.
I was just thinking that he's just turning on them, and that's all there is to it. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I just need to go through like the timeline of this arc a little bit because I was offered a theory recently, and I'm trying to figure out if it has any weight to it because I just want to go through it. So first off, not the Wizard King, but the actual king, uh, announces to the entire kingdom that they've found the headquarters of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. And despite the at least 3 different spies that they have as a member of it, I guess they didn't pick that up. So afterwards, they have a tournament which lasts at least several days, possibly around a week, possibly more if you consider the fallout afterwards. At which point they then form a squad and go and attack the base, which is apparently completely by surprise. Nobody, as we the guards were not told earlier that this attack was going to happen. As this happens, a smaller group of the Midnight Sun show up at the Black Bull's headquarters to get the Magic Stone. Now, presumably because they did not know that this attack on their headquarters was going to happen, they were under the assumption that all of the Black Bulls were going to be there. And considering that Yami took out one of their commanders previously, they decide to only bring 3 people. Luckily, coincidentally, there's not a ton of people there and they take the Magic Stone anyway, which is odd since they couldn't, because if they knew that there was only going to be a small amount of people there, they that the attack was going to happen because they would have wondered, like, why isn't everyone here?
I mean, the Yami part I can easily explain. They did mention that William Vengeance had summoned him to the Golden Ox or Golden Dawn, whatever base it was.
Oh, okay, Yami at the very least, yes, but still, all the rest of the Black Bulls are there. One of which can apparently rewind time as she sees fit. A little bit odd.
Wait.
Afterwards,
Okay.
Leashed then shows up and takes out the Wizard King on the same day. And the theory I've gotten after this chapter is that Leashed doesn't care about the attack on his base because he doesn't care about it, turns out. Now that theory is odd for 2 reasons, because the theory is that he knew about it but just didn't do anything because he doesn't care if they get attacked. The first odd theory is that presumably he would care about the copy magic guy, right? Because he's one of his friends, and the copy magic guy's plan was to essentially murder himself if things didn't go his way. And the only reason he didn't is because Asta showed up. But then there's this other leash in the center, and you'd think that maybe you'd want to protect that. So if that you knew your base was going to be attacked, you'd at least move the other leash so there's no chance of him being destroyed before you can, like, create him. So I'm just trying to figure out, because this seems like a hot mess to me. And I'm trying to figure out, like, a way that this can all come together perfectly, and I really can't.
I mean, I could guess maybe that, full disclosure, I haven't given it this much thought. You could maybe say that, you know, he didn't move the Eye of the Midnight Sun base. So, since he really needed that. He really needed some means, a good bait to throw the majority of the Clover Kingdom's best mages in there. While firstly going for the stone, and secondly killing the Wizard King, because otherwise someone might have interfered. And even I think 2 captains went with Mirio Leona. So this would mean that the captains that were in the Clover Kingdom's capital. What is the Clover Kingdom's capital called?
Clover Kingdom City? I don't know. I don't think it's ever been stated.
I don't know. Is it just this one city on a hill, or?
I don't know. Okay, but something odd about that then, because if that's the case, like I feel like you could do a better trap than this. Like why not say, okay, I'm gonna lure you all into my base and then blow up the base, instead of being like, I'm gonna lure you all into my base so you can murder all of my subordinates.
I don't know. Presumably because right now with the power he has, his subordinates may not be consequential, may not amount to anything right now. Especially since perhaps he could, and this is me just playing devil's advocate here. Maybe he would. Maybe they could sense it if there were actual traps set in the an actual trap set in the base, and if the base was blown up, then someone could sense it, and okay, we're not going to go there then. If there is such a spell that we are going to trigger by entering it. So maybe it's just to make sure that those wizards aren't in the capital at this moment in time. But this is just a theory.
I honestly haven't given enough thought to Black Clover to make any theories.
Yeah, because I don't know, maybe it's just I don't like the idea that I feel very negative on this series, so I'm trying to find ways to justify it. But there are just so many different factors that I just don't understand how they go together. Also, because just if you knew about the attack happening, the copy magic guy, at least from the flashback, seems to be the only person Leash gives a shit about. So why would, if you knew about the attack, why would you leave him there? And also, how did he did he know about the attack? What was his plan? I'm really looking for a way that this all comes together, and for the life of me, I cannot think of one.
I know what you mean, Nova, since even barring that, the most unbelievable thing is that, yeah, the king actually announced that there would be an attack on the Eye of the Midnight Sun's base, and nobody, even Julius, said this could be a bad idea. Why do you? How about you don't do that?
That would be a thing, because even if nobody found out, why didn't the characters bring it? Hey, we know there are spies. This isn't even a suspected thing. We know for a fact that there are spies. We have had flashbacked conversations specifically talking about the fact that we have spies. Why are you announcing this to the world?
Yeah.
Also, ending implies that Yuno's gonna be even more ultra super special instead of working hard. He's just special. Fuck Yuno.
Is it? Yeah, and it seems.
I have a theory, guys, and I hope it's not true, but it would be hilarious. Every 5 seconds, whenever we go back to that leashed flashback, they mention that kid that they're having, like the half human, half elf kid. How much you want to bet it's Yuno?
It's Yuno.
I'm not
Absolutely.
taking that bet because I'm almost certain it is the case.
It's Yuno. There is no doubt. It's okay. So we end on this is exactly the thing you've mentioned. This is exactly the thing you guys have mentioned a bunch of streams ago. So we have the big moment of Leashed having a power up. He essentially has a Eisen like form right now, and but we can't finish on that. We have to finish on Yuno actually having a bit of surprise under his sleeve. So okay, so it's okay now, and nothing bad is gonna happen to our characters. Yuno is alright, you guys.
In this case, I'm a bit closer to being like, maybe this might mean something. Like, for all I like, maybe it's just like something is reacting to it. I will say I think it would have been stronger if we had kept on this image, because this is at least an image that has me wondering, like, what the hell does this even mean? Like, there's another Leashed? Like, maybe Leashed is trying to get his own body, and maybe that's what this is. But it's certainly a case that, like, it's leaving me with questions in a good way. But no, I do agree that, like, if this is a chapter about, like, Leashed creating a stronger body for himself, why are we ending on Yuno?
Yeah.
That does seem odd.
So, shall we move on?
But Jonah, you said you had something to say at the end.
It was essentially just my rant throughout, which was like, how does any of this make sense? So it was essentially just that.
Okay, then I guess we should move on to. Well, Cheddar, you want to take this again?
Alright, let's move on to the Promised Neverland, chapter 77. So, guys, I really enjoy Promised Neverland's atmosphere of mystery and psychological warfare. This I always thought was the main hook of the series. And I've got to say, if during its opening chapters you had told me it would one day become a 90s action flick, I would have laughed.
I don't laugh, I just yell in rage like, what the fuck? That does not make any sense. You would fall down, you should be dead, with probably broken arms before that.
This chapter is so frustrating to me. Because I've mentioned like I don't really like what Kayoshiro is doing with his characters. So we have 2 pages of Shiraya Sensei trying to make the background props into actual characters, with the little backstories, but the ones they give them are so generic that nothing really changes. I mean, we already presume they must have lost a lot of loved ones during this hunt, so what new do we learn? What is so unique about each of them? Or why should we care about them? This chapter would be so much stronger if it was just about this this one girl. And perhaps the most mind-boggling thing is how this series that's prided itself on its strategy had a fight that was simpler than just, to give an example, just about any of the Naruto battles. So these are the weak points, but they're well protected, so aim for the spots that aren't so well protected first, and once the mask breaks, the weak spot. Well, this isn't exactly...
Brilliant!
This isn't exactly the proposition of Wittgenstein, dude.
Yeah, but then again, they also did say, like, also make these guys think that in their ecosystem that it's just them they're aiming for. They're just kind of hitting the servants.
Yeah.
But for that, I want to make a rant about the gun use in this. First, I have to ask, have either of you ever fired guns?
Yes.
I think I know where you're going with this, and I will say that I think actual realism for child characters handling these kind of stuff was thrown out a long time ago. You might remember my miniature rant about the fact that like Emma took a bullet to the face and had essentially no reaction. So
Yeah, this, like, that time I could kinda say it, but here I'm just saying, no, fuck you. So, in case you don't know, like, I have done my military service. I've fired real guns, and I gotta say, a rifle has a good amount of kickback. That's why most shooting is done flat on the ground, and you always support it against your shoulder to keep your aim steady. But this girl, without supporting anything, standing on a branch, which is probably not the best foothold, and where stepping back even slightly due to losing balance can cause her to just fall, fires 2 machine guns on auto fire, belt fed for several seconds. She could not do that with that build. Most people could not do that, and at least would not hit anything, especially some weak point in the eye. This is bullshit. Like, this is just one thing that I always rant about also. Like, people saying, like, why aren't they hitting anything? Yeah, guns are really hard to actually hit moving targets with. But here, how the hell do you hit anything with those?
Yeah.
So let's just do a quick recap. You have 4 stands. You don't support them against anything. You use auto fire. You are on an unbalanced platform, and those guns are way too big for you. Any one of those things would throw off your accuracy.
Yeah. So a while ago, I think during the beginning of this of Stammer stream, we were wondering if perhaps one day the Promised Neverland could successfully transition to an action series. So my guess right now is no, not really.
yeah,
Also, how did she get down from the tree when she starts circle strafing the monsters? And then back on the tree, I think. Or is she on the tree all the time? I can't tell with that one panel that got lacking background. His friend, at least, like, we see, he uses both hands on one rifle, takes a low stance, and seems to support it against his body, even if not the shoulder. Like, that guy would hit something.
And that's kind of the thing that's disappointing to me about the Promised Neverland right now. You would think this manga would think these things through. This was supposed to be the smart manga, and more often it turns out that isn't as smart as I thought. Like, so when Lucas advises the kids to keep shooting at the retainers so as they not to let them have a moment to breathe. So you would think that given the situation, they should conserve their ammo since they aren't exactly in a position to produce any more, right?
Then again, they didn't show that they had like a huge armory of ammo, and this is just gonna be the one assault they do it all in.
Yeah, fair. Although they still have other farms to get to, so yeah, wondering what's gonna happen next. Also, I guess necromancy is a thing among the demons. We learned that during this chapter, and
where?
Didn't the rich boy say he can revive his fallen retainers?
He said, "I'm able to resurrect and my servants too." Which is just, their usual healing ability that if you don't shoot them in the eye, they just come back.
Okay, now I know.
Yeah, that was just, I too read that first, like, wait, you're able to resurrect your servants? Oh, wait, yeah, I just misread you.
Yeah, I was wondering, you think you would think that the guy would resurrect his retainers when they all died. So, yeah.
Though I do also wonder, why does he just let him take off his mask and come to kill him? Isn't he still like bigger and stronger than them with resurrection abilities?
Yeah, and well, he could easily just turn around, run away.
This might, like, presumably there might be something else that happens next chapter, but it's a little odd. Like, it's just like, dude, I mean, not for nothing, you're still a giant.
Yeah, though I guess like even if he did try that, they just shoot his legs or something, like shoot him enough that he's not able to move for a moment, and then just take off his mask and shoot him.
Yeah.
Like he could still fight back, but I don't see him winning in that scenario anymore.
Yeah. Still, this is I suppose just build up to the confrontation between Luvis and Emma. So, yeah. Waiting for that, I guess. Anything else to mention?
No, I don't think this chapter is as bad. I would more just say it's a little uninteresting. But yeah,
Yeah, like I went on
would
my
say
huge
that-
rant about the gun use, but other than that, it's not a bad chapter.
I think I would just say that for a series like Promised Neverland, the big twist about like how they're gonna get the upper hand on them being aim for the weak points is remarkably dull.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it was just aim for the weak points, it would have stopped there because they had the mask to protect the weak point. It was instead
Like that could have been
more
a more
like,
interesting
don't
way
let
to
them
do
know
this.
that you're trying to take off their cover with your random seemingly fire,
But
and kill the weak ones first.
but the things that cover the weak points also have their weak points. So I could imagine one of the demons responsible for the technology. Okay, guys, I have an idea. So how about we put different masks on top of our usual masks, and then give those masks weak points as well? Well, why don't you?
Like they do say that the rich guys don't have that weak point in their mask. It's only their servants that have those poor quality masks.
Oh, yeah. Okay, makes sense. So, shall we move on to We Never Learn?
Yeah, we could. This was actually a pretty good chapter ahead.
Yeah. Guys, hot take, but I think it is possible for other people than the main character to have a romantic relationship in harem manga.
My God.
Yeah, I mean, that's normal that some side characters hook up in the last chapter.
I mean, I'm shocked. I didn't know there were women in this world who didn't want to sleep with Uega. It's a new revelation. This makes this
it's happening
universe so much bigger.
Series.
I mean, you have Sekijo who wants to sleep with Ogata instead.
Hey! We don't know that.
We kind of do.
We can't be brash about this. There's a free pizza riding on this. We don't know that for sure.
We know that
even though we totally know that for sure.
We know that she wants to, but we know also that the manga is never gonna acknowledge that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really like this chapter. There's not really much to talk about, but it's awkward teenagers being awkward teenagers in the first of a straightforward, normal relationship, which is pretty rare in Jump, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's rare to see Nariyuki actually thinking about his romantic feelings.
Yeah.
Usually Guy is just oblivious until like the last fifth of the manga or so. Though I'm not sure how long this manga's gonna go on, so...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't quite understand what happened at the end exactly, but
In the bus, you mean?
Yeah, like, do you think that kiss was just a dream, or if he was just too sleepy to completely understand?
if it was a dream, I hate it because I hate whenever that happens. I think wasn't that a joke I made about Promised Neverland back in the day? About like Phil getting his head crushed by a bug, but turning, it was a dream or something like that. But
I think Takamoto just drugged him.
Oh,
well, she's no longer my favorite.
um,
Still a good chapter.
Okay, but this is something I'm confused about. So if Takamoto did actually kiss him, and look, I don't think the drugging thing happened, but did he just fall asleep immediately after?
Oh my god!
Like, what the fuck happened there?
This kiss was so boring. I fell asleep.
Like, Jesus, there was just nothing there. I was just. I've never had one before, and even I know that sucked.
He just becomes a critic, and just because he accidentally kissed Ogata once, and no, there was no passion in this. There was no passion in this at all. And didn't she like just fall on?
I mean, if you had fallen on top of me in a rainstorm, maybe something would have happened.
Yeah, I just figured it might have been something like he was just like half asleep, like you know how you sometimes are, like you're just sitting on a bus or something, try not to fall asleep, but your mind just kind of starts wandering, and then something snaps you back to reality, and you just feel completely awake again.
Yeah,
a little bit. I almost wonder if, like, this is horrible to say, but like that's Uega's kink. It's like, all right, it has to be in a rainstorm, and you have to have fallen on top of me by accident. That's the only thing that works for me.
That is a very
also,
specific
like,
thing.
It might still be that it did happen because of why the hell can I never remember the girls' names?
Which one?
Only one I remember is Ogata.
Uruka?
Takamoto.
Was that the sports girl's name? I thought
Yeah,
Uruka.
Uruka Takamoto.
Yeah, Takamoto. Like Takamoto's final expression before they got to school. Like, could you read that it actually did happen or something? It's really hard to tell.
I think it did. I think he was just barely awake. So.
I would say that I could go either way, and I kind of like that it does leave it vague whether or not it actually happened.
And I do.
Presumably,
I do like the parallel with the two circle of friends. Discussing Umihara and Kobayashi going out. Just Yuiga and Takamoto just being embarrassed, and the other friends are just freaking out over it for no reason.
Yeah, I certainly prefer this because again, I like Takamoto, and I think this is a cute chapter. I still at some point am gonna have to reckon with the fact that I can never really like a harem series. There's something that no matter how innocent or how cute it is, just feels exploitative to me. But I still say that We Never Learn can have some very sweet moments. I think this chapter has quite a few of them.
Yeah, I don't actively read harem series, but when I do it for recap or something, it just kind of goes into brain. I might get a few chuckles, goes out, and I don't think about it again. So, this was nice.
I understand.
I won't remember it next week, but
I understand the tropes of harem series, and I do understand how trashy they are. But even so, We Never Learn is very good comedy, and with Promised Neverland being so dull right now, I must say that I enjoy We Never Learn at times more than Promised Neverland these days.
Well, that's a hot take.
Oh.
Hot damn.
Well, what you gonna do?
Okay.
It
Nothing.
it was one of my favorite. And Promised Neverland was one of my favorite series back in the day. So, that's sad.
But yeah, I'm not gonna do you in on talking about that Promised Neverland because, well, it's not my favorite either. What is my favorite is Doctor Stone, 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 Doctor Stone.
Okay, let's move on to that.
Time
Chapter
to
48.
get drunk.
Let's talk about this cover page for a minute, shall we?
Sure. I mean, this is pretty badass, and I think it's evoking some other manga, though. For the life of me, I can't recall which one.
Oh, yeah, Senku's pose is pretty badass, but have you noticed that every bloody time a female character appears on the cover, she has to be in this weird pin-up pose? Just this. What is that even supposed to represent? Because you remember that the last time we had a rant on this, Kohaku was just there at the back. With every other character standing in a row, but she's just sitting or, I don't know, falling. What is that even supposed to represent? Is she jumping, falling? I don't think so. Since she's too low to be doing either, and Senku's just on the ground with his badass pose.
It's just Boichi being Boichi.
Yeah, I'll maintain what I said before, which is just that, like, for Boichi. This isn't too bad.
Yeah, no, not just like the pose, but sort of the art style, the clothes are drawn, and especially the title. Like, this is definitely emulating some other manga, but I just can't place which one.
Well, I don't know. I haven't read too much samurai mangas. So,
either way, this was a pretty good chapter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do like Gen's mind games a lot. Especially him trying to appear that he's still on Hyoga's side, but then he just can't resist making fun of him. Wow, who could do something like that? Who could have broken your spear? Oh, I guess we'll never find out.
I almost thought he was doing like a Blue's Clues thing, like, all right, Hyoga, let's go look for clues. Like, I know it was fucking you, but now let's follow the footprints. You put these here, and they lead off the side of a cliff.
Yeah, but down there you might find a clue.
Yeah,
now,
but there's
also
cookies down there.
Take this pot of liquid down there. Don't worry, it's not acid, and don't worry if the cork's a little loose. It'll stay on.
Don't worry, there's cookies down there. Stoneworld cookies. Did you poison them? Okay, yeah, you got me.
Yeah, his shit-eating grin is even better than Senku's.
I've always loved I love Dr. Stone Littlefinger. Like, every time he shows up, he's such a delight.
Like, big comedic face in Dr. Stone is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've been rereading it in preparation for a little something I've been planning, so I've just got to experience all the comedic faces again.
This one is pretty great. This kind of, yeah. You got me.
I'm a fuckface. What can I say?
Ain't I a stinker?
Building up that, and I do love essentially whenever Dr. Stone shows that every one of its characters can be useful in a situation. We had even Magma joining this team. We have Suika being very useful in a chapter, executing Gen and Senku's plan. I do really like it a lot.
And they do really show Hyoga as a threat, because even with the superior weapons, he's still able to disarm Magma, knock down Kohaku, and almost kill Ginro, if not for Kinro intercepting.
Yeah, building up Spearman David Bowie is quite good. Yeah. not sure whether I have anything much else to say. This was just a really good chapter.
Yeah, though I do once again like to see Gen just being the trickster that he is. Like, yeah, he left those same flowers in a pattern that Chalk was easily able to sniff out, and he still seems to have quite a few bags in his sleeve in the panel where he takes the small blade. Like, this guy's probably still got a few magic tricks within him.
Yeah, I think his sleeves are kind of like kind of like Wacko's bag from anime. It's just limitless.
Yeah, the mangaka really has always had this remarkably charming way of writing total dicks that just
Yeah,
they're just
Senku
such
and Gen
a
are both what's a nice word for asshole?
I'm just gonna call them assholes, but they're assholes in like a really charming and remarkably endearing way, and it's something that happens all the time with Eyeshield 21.
The jerks
and
with the heart of gold.
Exactly, and I just consistently find myself like really enjoying every time these guys show up, and just there's great character dynamics here, and I still think Hyoga is a little generic so far, I'm liking this exchange back and forth. It's always interesting when when a mangaka correctly makes their characters seem like underdogs, and showing like the lengths that these characters have to go to in order to attempt to even match Hyoga, like doing all this prep work and all this scheming. It's pretty enjoyable to read. So I'm hoping this keeps going.
Yeah, these guys always win with cleverness rather than force.
Mhm.
Also, didn't mention earlier, but Ace Detective Suikai is adorable.
Mhm.
Once again.
So
Yeah, it's a great cast.
Yeah.
No, I do have to once again ask, where the hell does like Tsukasa find all these amoral guys who are just willingly going like, hey, I was just eating my ice cream and wait, you want me to murder some dudes? Okay, let's go.
I don't know, is there a Japanese equivalent of the Jersey Shore?
And they have to be teenagers is the best thing since
Yeah,
Tsukasa hates
bullshit.
adults.
They are not teenagers. I do not believe for a second that those generic guys are teenagers.
I just imagine now that Tsukasa just can't tell and says, okay, so it says so on your ID that you're 15 years old. Okay, you can join our forces. Wait, why do we even have IDs? It's the new Stone Age. How
did you
this
drive
happen?
I was
like
wondering why his ID was written on a piece of like tree bark,
How
and
did
he
your
spelled
driver's
ID
license
wrong.
survive?
I mean, that's just sloppy, dude. Like, it's 2 letters.
How did your driver's license survive 3,000 years in your pocket?
I laminated it.
Oh, well, okay. In what, Mithril?
Well, now it makes sense.
Yes,
So
but still, I do hope at one point we get some kind of explanation where he got all these thugs who like are just so willing to start murdering people in this stone world, rather than thinking, "Where's is my old family gone? Can we resurrect them? Like, how do we survive here? Any of that stuff."
Mm-hmm.
So, shall we talk about rather? Did Noah's notes come out?
No, not this week.
Oh, okay. Then I screwed the pooch on this one, but because I made the cover image this week. All right then. So I suppose
Maybe next week it's the same thing, but we've just changed the girl's hair to brown and given the guy Gin hair.
and just transform his eyes into this kind of short these kind of eyes that Gin has in Bleach.
Honestly, they kind of look like Gulch's eyes. Just make them blue. and you're good.
Yeah, I mean, he's even got the color scheme that Gulch has. He to be fair, okay, the coat is yellow instead of black. But
Yeah, and his hair is and his shirt is supposed to be light blue. But you know what? I'm taking what I can get.
he's got a blue tie. He's got a blue tie.
I'm taking what I can get so I can sue these guys. Pretty sure someone in court will see the similarities.
There's just no Kevlar in it, and that's why I'm so disappointed.
If he turns out to be a sly and sarcastic fucker, then this is my favorite manga of all time. I'm gonna sell. I wouldn't. I think the only thing that would make me happier is if like Green Bull finally showed up and it's Askeladd, and I'm like, fuck it, I don't care if he's a Marine. Tree man, hashtag Tree Man in One Piece.
Yeah, I second that. Alright then, so that is gonna do it for this week of Stammer Stream. Thank you for watching, either on my YouTube channel or live at twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. We usually try to record on Saturdays at 10 AM Eastern Standard Time, 3 PM GMT and 4 PM GMT+1, and 5 PM GMT+2. You can follow me on Twitter at WensleyCheddar for updates on the stream on Penganta, Well Triggered, Friendly Faces Everywhere, which recently had its the season 20 review of South Park, so go watch that. Hashtag Race Pokemon Journey featuring our very own Dr. Nova, and many other projects. Follow Milo at HovinwithanH for anime waifus and Trial by Guilty Crown, a series of commentaries he does with Castor. You can find it on YouTube in the description below. And the recent episode has come out, and I'm in it, so go check that out. And follow Dr. Nova on Instagram to see his delicious cooking and his enormous amount of Valentines. Which, by the way, I was going to ask, are you really not a harem master?
Nope. Gave those to everybody. Everybody in school.
Oh, okay, so that was the one you made. Okay, I thought it was the one you received.
No, I would make all of those in high school and give them to people.
Okay. The address is instagram.com/donor_snow. And Greil, can we find you, I guess, anywhere else? Since you said you don't go on Twitter a lot these days.
I mean, I rarely do, but I don't do that. I'm not that active poster, so yeah, you can't really find me anywhere else.
Okay, so
search for Greil in the Upside Down or in the ether.
Yeah.
Damn it! You discovered my secret hiding spot. Gotta find a new one.
So in the Upside Down, it's at Nuclear Android. And a sincere thank you to our recent subs on YouTube. It's thanks to you that we may one day catch up to our eternal rivals, the Manga Mavericks. Now, for some things coming up, me and my two good buddies, Alec and Magda, are going to play Earthbound on the stream later this evening. So it's something I've been really excited about for a while now. And they are all around funny lasses, so stick around if you want to see it. We might start it around 9 PM Polish time. So, and again, we've released the new Friendly Faces Everywhere, an analysis on South Park Season 20. Please do check it out. My friend JVM helped me a lot with it. And anything you guys want to throw out there? Any announcements of any upcoming projects, I guess? Greil?
Nah, I'm just a lazy bum who does nothing.
Okay, then. Well,
I'm drowning in schoolwork and can't get any.
Okay, then. So, once again, cheers for watching, and we will see you next week. Take care.